Hi, fifth graders. So in this activity, we're going to be practicing what my good friend Khan showed you in the last video, which I hope you watched. If you haven't yet, pause the video, go back and watch it. So in this activity, we're going to work on renaming the fractions. Another way you can phrase this, or something that we often say, is reducing the fraction. So if I have something like 2/4, I draw it like this. I have 2 parts shaded out of 4 total parts. What reducing or renaming the fraction means is that I'm going to combine parts so that they're larger pieces. That way my numbers end up getting smaller. Here's what I mean. In the video Khan just showed you, he combined parts. So let's look at my 2 shaded parts here. What if I thought of it as just 1 part? So envision here, I'm combining these 2 parts. That part in the middle no longer exists. I apologize. I wish I had a way to erase it. I tried using pencil and that didn't work anyway. So there we go. This is 1 long part. But I can't have 1 big part and 2 small parts. Fractions need to have equal sized pieces. So what I'm going to have to do is also combine these 2 parts together, ignoring those lines. So now I'm looking and I have 1 part shaded out of 2 parts total. 1 part shaded out of 2 parts total. And Khan showed this using division. I could do 2 divided by 2, and that would be 1. If I divide by 2 on the top, I have to do the same thing to the bottom. 4 divided by 2 would be 2. There we go. So Khan's strategy, he showed you that you could erase those parts in between. But sometimes it's hard to figure out, well, how many parts do I need to combine? Like for instance, if we were using the fraction 6/12, here's what that could look like. 6/12. And I need to make equal sized parts that are larger, but I don't know how to combine these. I could do, I'll use blue. I could combine 2 parts at a time. I'm just going to do this for the sake of time. I'm going to combine those 2 parts, combine those 2 parts, these 2 parts, these 2, these 2, and those 2. So I'm ignoring the purple, just looking at the blue. So now I have 1, 2, 3 parts shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts total. But I renamed the fraction, but this is not the smallest I could make it. In fact, choose a different one. This is going to get complicated. If I combine, let's do 1, 2, 3. These 3 parts together. Oh, sorry, this pen is dying. These 3 parts together, and these 3 parts together, these 3 parts together, and these 3 parts together. Technically, they're the same size. They're all weird shaped. But that would mean I have, this would be 1, 2 parts shaded. I'll do this. These are together. These are together. These are together. And these parts are together. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts total. These are all equal fractions, but that's still not the smallest I could make it. So one strategy that I'm going to have us use is called finding the least common factor. Think to yourself, what is a factor? You've learned this before. Let's refresh our brains. So a factor, so let's say I'm working with 3, 6. A factor, I'm thinking, what numbers do I multiply together to get to 3 or to get to 6? So for instance, numbers I could multiply together to get to 3 would be 1 times 3. Is there any other way to get to 3 using multiplication? 3 times 1 is the same thing. We're just flip-flopping the numbers, so I'm not going to write that down. That's it. What about 6? What numbers could I multiply together to equal 6? Do 1 times 6. What else could I multiply together? 2 times 3. And if you're not sure, use that multiplication chart I gave you. So here's where that greatest common factor part comes in. I'm looking at all my factors here. I want to find one that they have in common. And I don't just mean like all of them are going to have 1. I don't want 1. I want the number that's the greatest they have in common. So I see 1 is in common. Are there any other numbers that are on both lists? How about 3? That number they have in common, and it's larger than 1, so it's the greatest common factor. So I could use this to help me realize that I need to divide both of these numbers by 3. So now I'm thinking, okay, 3 divided by 3, that'd be 1. 3 cookies divided among 3 people, everyone gets 1. 6 cookies divided among 3 people, that would be 2. Also, if you're struggling with that, you could think of it backwards. What number times 3 would equal 3? Or what number times 3 would equal 6? That sometimes helps. So going back to this number up here, I have a 6 and I have a 12. What numbers are factors of 6? I just did them down here. I have 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. What about for 12? Of course, 1 times 12. I could do 2 times 6. Anything else? What about 3 times 4? I think that's it. So now I want you to think, in these two lists, what numbers do they have in common? Of course, 1. I see 3. And I see 6. 1, 3, and 6. What is the greatest number they have in common? That would be 6. So if I want to find the reduced form, I'm going to take my 6/12 and divide by that greatest common factor. Divide by 6 and divide by 6. And that'll tell me the equivalent fraction. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Wow, did you realize that 6/12 is equal to 1/2? Okay, this is a little complicated, so let's do some practice together. Let's start with 3/9. 3/9. So on your whiteboard, I want you to write down the factors of 3 and the factors of 9. Pause now and want you to do that. Okay, let's check. My factors of 3 I know are 1 times 3, and that's it. My factors for 9, I know it's 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. So what numbers do they have in common? 1 and 3. That's it. So our largest number they have in common, the greatest common factor, is 3. So I want you to take a second, and I would like you to divide the top and bottom numbers by 3. What is 3 divided by 3? And 9 divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3/9 and 1/3 are equivalent fractions. Let's do another one. 2/6. 2/6. So write out your factors for 2 and 6. Pause, and I want you to do that now. All right, did you get 1 times 2? And that's it for number 2. For 6, I could do 1 times 6. And I could do 2 times 3. That is it. All right, take a second, figure out which number is the greatest that they have in common. What is the greatest number they have in common? 2. So what are we going to divide by? 2. All right, pause if you need a moment to do your division. Find that equivalent fraction. All right, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Remember, if you're not very confident with your division, work your way backwards now and see if you did it right. Is 1 times 2, 2? And is 3 times 2, 6? If you got one of these wrong, you can go back and fix it. All right, last one. 4/6. 4/6. Take a moment, pause, find your factors of 4 and 6, and see if you can solve what is the equivalent fraction for 4/6 in the most reduced form. All right, here's what I would do. 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Those are the factors of 4. For 6, I'd have 1 times 6, 2 times 3. So the number that they have in common, the highest, the greatest common factor, would be 2. So I would divide by 2. And our answer then should be 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2/3. All right, don't worry, we're going to do tons of practice with this, but good job practicing today. Bye.